Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank the panel for taking the time to be able to be here. Interesting listening to some of the dialogue that we're having right now in terms of the benefits of responsibly developing a resource and to be able to develop the LNG for export. Did want to address Mr. Smith, your comments. You don't actually deal in the production. You just facilitate actually being able to sell it, rely on the pipelines and other producers to be able to get it through. Just read a report, it was on CNBC, that Shell Oil had just made the comment that the market for LNG could face a shortage by the mid-2020s due to underinvestment in new projects. How important is it for us to be able, as a country, to be able to maintain the edge, not only for our own energy security, our own jobs, keeping those prices low for American consumers, but also being able to address something Mr. Duran had mentioned, being able to compete on that world stage as well, given that we have Mr. Putin with his hand on the valve for a lot of Europe?
Well, thank you for the question, Congressman. So we obviously believe that LNG is tremendously important in that area. We see that there are players in the market like Cheniere that are having success in selling into various markets. There are other projects that I think have the potential to come online, and we see an increasing amount of LNG coming out of the United States, which is not only really beneficial for our country in terms of job creation, but also provides opportunities and options for our allies and our trading partners around the world. So those U.S. molecules being able to protect American influence through exporting of hydrocarbons developed right here in the United States, we see as being very positive, not only for our economy, but also for the global economy and, again, for our allies and trading partners who buy LNG from the United States.
Great. Would you concur with what Michelle was just noting, that if we don't have the continued investment, the continued development in terms of being able to build the export facilities out, to be able to address that with some of the suppressed prices that are out, that we may actually have an actual shortage? That it's important to keep those investments going?
I think it's very important to ensure that we can move capital to these projects, that new projects do get built. Cheniere does see a next wave of LNG projects being constructed. We're expecting to go to final investment decision on our third train in the Corpus Christi facility in Texas, which will be the first new final investment decision made in the United States since 2015. We see other projects coming forward, so we obviously feel that that's a real opportunity to deploy capital right here in the United States, and we think that's really important.
Right. You know, in my part of the world, West Slope, Colorado, in the Piceance Basin with the Mancos Shale, we've got the USGS coming out saying it could be the second largest reserve that we have in the country. And Ms. Gentle, you're nodding your head. I know you're well aware of probably that particular area. How important is it for us to be able to have those pipelines to be able to deliver it? You'd made the comment you want to be able to go where you're welcomed. I think everybody will welcome having heat on in the winter, cooling on in the summer, no matter where you're at, to be able to actually deliver that and have that sustainable, affordable supply.
We concur it's absolutely critical, and overall we believe that over $170 billion of investment is needed in pipeline and export infrastructure in the country, which was originally piped to deliver gas from the Gulf Coast to the major cities on the East Coast, West Coast, and Chicago market area. So now that supply is coming from West Texas, Rockies, Northeast, all of the pipeline systems have to be rerouted and new pipelines have to be built.
Great. So, Mr. Chairman, I think it's remarkable if we step back in time. Not long ago, they were saying that we were going to run out of energy in this country. We were going to have to be importing LNG into the United States, and now we're in a position to where this country can lead. We can put our people to work. We can address a lot of the complications that we see in terms of the geopolitical issues that are facing over in Europe and elsewhere with American ingenuity, American inventiveness, to be able to create this abundant, affordable supply of energy, to be able to keep the lights on, and to be able to keep our people employed. So thank you for holding this hearing, and thank our panel for taking the time to be able to be here.